Praise be to Jesus. Hi, everyone. Let's continue here. So we're up to July 20th, 2015. Vatican's communications official, Father Federico Lombardi, tells National Geographic, quote, "No one knows all of what he's doing. His personal secretary doesn't even know. I have to call around. One person knows one part of his schedule. Someone else knows another part. The structure of the curia is no longer clear. The process is ongoing, and what will be at the end, no one knows." The Secretary of State is not as centralized, and the Pope has many relations that are directed by him alone without any mediation, unquote. It's from National Geographic. July 28th. The Pope Francis statement that changed the church on LGBT issues. Quote, "Under the leadership of Pope Francis, the Catholic Church is evolving on LGBT issues. The Church is beginning to discern." Oh, here's one of the key words here in his pontificate, discerning. "The Church is beginning to discern more deeply, the full measure of God's presence in LGBT individuals, and yes, couples too." Well, you can include everyone in that, unquote. Time magazine. I mean, why do they deserve special treatment or special consideration? You got me on that. August 5th, 2015. Pope Francis said Catholics who have divorced are civilly remarried. Let me get this right. Pope Francis said Catholics who have divorced and are civilly remarried, quote, "are not, in fact, excommunicated. They are not excommunicated, and they absolutely must not be treated as if they were." That's, quote, from the Catholic News Agency. I would think that they are, and they're taking communion. They are not excommunicated. Well, only God knows this kind of stuff, I mean, I wouldn't listen to the church about anything anymore, obviously. None of us would. August 5th, Pope Francis invites Oprah, William Morris agent Ari Emanuel, television producer Brian Grazer, actor Matt Damon, super mogul David Geffen, to the Vatican for a summit on how the church is perceived by Western media. That's in the Hollywood Reporter. August 10th, Pope Francis calls Europe's rejection of migrants an, quote, "act of war," unquote. That's from The Independent. August 10th, Vatican for sale. Very wealthy rent the Sistine Chapel, dine with the Pope, and buy secret archives. That's from Forbes. They buy secret archives? Boy, wonder what that's about. August 25th. Pope Francis says, quote, "In opposing every attempt to create a rigid uniformity, we can and must build unity on the basis of our diversity of languages, cultures, and religions, and lift our voices against everything which would stand in the way of such unity." That's from the Vatican Radio. Well, there you go with just one of many, many statements, that has to do with the one world religion. August the 30th, 2015. Quote, the Francis effect, unquote, prompts 6 in 10 American Catholics to support gay marriage. That's from Breitbart. So 6 in 10 American Catholics support gay marriage. Well, they shouldn't call them Catholics. They should just call them baptized. They should maybe put in quotes baptized Catholics. I mean, you can call yourself what you want, regardless of whether you're baptized or not. You can call yourself a Catholic. I mean, I can call myself a jet pilot. It doesn't mean anything. What you call yourself. There's a lot of different kinds of Catholics, and there aren't very many good ones. August 31st, during a, quote, virtual audience, unquote, with David Muir called, quote, Pope Francis and the People, unquote, Pope Francis said, quote, friendship in society, that's what God created us for. Yikes! ABC News. Friendship in society, that's what God created us for. God created us for himself, to form a holy people. Oh boy. Friendship in society, that's what God created us for. Absolutely amazing, isn't it? September 1st, Pope Francis emphasizes forgiveness for women who have abortions. Oh, well, that's all right. The Washington Post. I mean, as long as they're, I really think that someone shouldn't. I don't know if you should just forgive someone without them recognizing what they've done wrong, or because I think that's really the first step, is to get the person to recognize that they've committed a terrible offense against God. I mean, you just don't say, if a woman's not really, if she thinks abortion's okay and she's already had 3 of them, what are you forgiving her for? She's not asking for forgiveness, so, this kind of statement doesn't make any sense to me. Let me check the time. It's almost 8 minutes already. Jeez, time flies. September 2nd. Catholics clash with church over, quote, sins, unquote, survey finds. Quote, new poll by the Pew Research Center reveals that Americans who identify as Catholic are surprisingly open to non-traditional families, and many don't see birth control, cohabitation, remarriage, or gay sex as sins. There you go. No matter what the Vatican says. Well, the Vatican agrees with them. Much smaller but still significant percentages don't even see abortion, grounds for excommunication under canon law, as a sin. Pope Francis has won fans for a less judgmental approach to Catholic rule breakers. Well, we're supposed to, we're not to judge someone's heart, in other words, their motives, but we are to judge what comes out of people's mouth and their behavior. Now, why someone says something or does something is for God, only God knows that. A lot of statements and behaviors in and of themselves, regardless of the motivation or the person's heart, it's still a sin. And God will determine to what extent and what punishment goes with that. 2 people can say or do the exact same thing for different reasons, and one will be punished more severely than the other. Will owe God's justice. That's, I forget the word for that. But let's move on here. September 5th, Pope Francis said in a video message to theologians, Quote, doctrine is not a closed system devoid of dynamics able to raise questions, doubts, inquiries. Yeah. Unquote. Yeah, that's a good one. September 6th. Pope asks all European parishes to take in a refugee family. Okay, from Vatican Radio. September 7th. Pope Francis reforms Roman Catholic marriage annulment procedures. NBC News. September 10th. Pope Francis said during a homily, quote, if you are a priest and you can't manage to be merciful, tell your bishop who will give you a job in administration, but please don't go into the confessional box. A priest who is not merciful does a lot of harm in the confessional box. He beats people. He beats. Quote, no, Father, I am merciful, but I'm a bit stressed. It's true. Before going to hear confessions, go to your doctor who will give you some pills to make you less stressed. Oh my God, unquote. That's from Vatican Radio. Yeah, let me check the time here. Oh, all right. Well, we're a minute and a half long. Okay, so, all right, so that's it here, so we're up to September 11th. Okay, so we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.